Gaganyaan mission. So now we are focusing on the sustained human space exploration program in the long run. Okay, so that's why we have took this news for today's discussion. This is relevant in GS paper 3 in space technology as well as the India's achievements. Okay, so here the program is actually undertaking the demonstration of human space flight to the low Earth orbit in a short time manner. Okay, so this is about the Gaganyaan mission and this is our first human space project. So for this program, government have approved two missions. Okay, that is two unmanned mission and one manned missions. These are approved by the government of India. So we have to talk about Gaganyaan orbital module. Actually, the payload is consisting of two things. That is, first one is crew model, and actually it is the spacecraft which carrying the human. Okay, that is the crew model, and the second one is about the service model. So it is powered by two liquid propellant engines. Okay, so this is about the payload that consisting in the Gaganyaan orbital model. And the thing we have to remember is about GSLV Mk 3rd. So it is also called LVM-3, that is the Launch Vehicle Mark 3. So actually it is the 3-stage heavy lift launch vehicle. Okay, it is used to launch Gaganyaan as it has the necessary payload capability. And the second keyword here is the Vyomitra. Actually, Vyomitra, it is a talking human robot. It has to be sent on Gaganyaan. Okay. Vyomitra is a female-looking space-faring humanoid robot. Okay. This is a humanoid robot it have the appearance of female. And it have been developed by ISRO in order to function aboard the Gaganyaan. And also Vyomitra was first unveiled on 22nd January 2020 at the Human Spaceflight and Exploration Symposium in Bengaluru. So it will accompany the Indian astronauts in space missions and will also be part of uncrewed experimental Gaganyaan missions before the crewed spaceflight mission. So this is about the Vyomitra. And lots of agencies are collaborating with ISRO in order to achieve Gaganyaan mission. So these three are the important collaborating partners, okay, or the collaborating agencies. That is Indian Armed Forces, Defense Research Development Organization, that is DRDO, and Indian Maritime Agencies like Indian Navy, Indian Coast Guard, Shipping Corporation of India, National Institute of Oceanography, National Institute of Ocean Technology, and Indian Meteorological Department, CSIR Labs, Academic Institute, as well as the industry partners. So all these people, all these agencies are collaborating with ISRO in order to achieve Gaganyaan mission. So we already know that we need a partnership venture, okay, otherwise we can't achieve this mission because this is a very prestigious mission just like this Chandrayaan 3. Moreover, okay, because it is actually human space research. Okay, so there are some benefits of the Gaganyaan programs are there. Okay, actually first thing is about it is a human space flight program. So based upon that, it have both tangible as well as intangible benefits are there for our nation. So it is looking forward for a sustained and affordable human and robotic program. Why? Because we need to explore our solar system as well as beyond. So this is about the first benefit. And second one is about the space exploration as well as sample return mission and scientific explorations. And about future collaboration in global space station. So it have the ability or the capability to actively collaborate in global space station development and to carry out the scientific experiments in interest of the nation. As well as it creates a broad framework for wider academia industry partnership. Okay, so it will focus on the developmental projects or the national development as well as for the science and research and development activities. And about unique opportunity to inspire and excite Indian youth and steer many students toward the career in science and technology, as well as it will promote employment opportunities. Okay, and the program will strengthen international partnership and global security through the sharing of challenging peaceful goals. So these are the important benefits of the Gaganyaan program. Let's move on to the significance of Gaganyaan for India. Okay, so you have already discussed it's important. It's just like that. Also the significance is just like that. So we have already talked about the motivation. It will motivate our Indians as well as the youth will come forward in order to do more in our space technology. Okay, so it also plays a part in the research and development, and it boosts to academic organizations. How the private firms or the industrial firms will collaborate with the academic organizations, so it will eventually increases or boost or develop the academic organizations. This is a part of our national development, and we already know it's actually a prestigious issue for us because India will be the fourth country to launch human space mission. Okay, so it will prove India's role as a key player in the space industry. So this is about the prestigious issue. And next one is about technological development. Here we are focusing on the human space flight. Okay, so this is a unique platform in order to conduct experiments as well as the future technologies about the space. And next about this employment. So it will generate lots of employment opportunities in India. Okay, and next one is about boost industries. That is, Indian industry will find large opportunity through the participation in space missions, and Gaganyaan mission is actually expected to source nearly 60% of its equipment from the Indian private sector. So it will boost our economy too. So these are the important significance as well as the importance of the Gaganyaan for India. So way forward. So what happened? So once after the successful success of the Gaganyaan program, we can prove or we can do our next step for a sustained human presence in space. As well as the activities associated with the space station will be the extension of Gaganyaan program. Okay, an Indian space station will be a platform for conducting scientific and industrial research in myriad areas of fundamental, applied and engineering sciences. Also, the government is encouraging the private sector and startups for various Gaganyaan activities, that is hardware realization, component supply, health monitoring devices, virtual reality simulators, etc. So this is about Gaganyaan mission. Same-sex marriage in India. So why it's in news? Because recently Supreme Court has delivered its verdict. Okay, but what happened is Supreme Court had rejected its petitions in order to legalize the same-sex marriage. So from this context we understood that legalization of same-sex marriage was the news. Here Supreme Court has delivered its verdict against them. So, and they just delve deeper on the provisions of the Special Marriage Act 1954. Okay, to examine the issue thoroughly, which they have convergence and interrelationship with the homosexuality. So here same-sex marriage is what not legalized by the Supreme Court. So here some observations are given by Supreme Court. Okay, so some of the observations of the Supreme Courts are here. First one is this again is the constitutional validity. Like 5-judge constitution bench held this case and they just ruled 3:2 verdict against the constitutional validity of the same-sex marriages. So now it's not a constitutional right. Okay, Supreme Court have the right to accept whether it is constitutional or non-constitutional or fundamental or not fundamental. So the second part is about the domain of Parliament. Supreme Court held that Parliament and or the state legislature have to formulate the laws regarding on the same-sex marriage. So this hope also got. So these are the two observations from the Supreme Court. And other observations like this is for the support of the same-sex marriage. Like, Supreme Court says that the relationship of marriage is not a static one. Okay, so the queer persons have an equal right and freedom to enter into a union. But here all 5 judges on the bench agreed that there is no fundamental right to marry under the constitutions. Okay, so now Supreme Court held that there is no fundamental right to marry under the constitution. So, legality of the same-sex marriages in India. Right to marry is not expressly recognized either as a fundamental right or the constitutional right under the Indian Constitution, but it is a statutory right. So the right to marry is a statutory right. Okay, so that's why the Supreme Court held that whether the Parliament or the state legislature have the right to do anything about this. So the right to marry, it's a fundamental, not a fundamental or not a constitutional right. It's a statutory right. And here marriage is regulated through various statutory enactments. Okay, so its recognition as a fundamental rights are wholly developed through judicial decisions of India's Supreme Court. So such declaration, if Supreme Court held that right to marry is a fundamental right, then such declaration of law is binding on all courts throughout the India because of the Article 141 of the Constitution. Okay, so what happened? That is not happening here. Though there are certain earlier views were there from the Supreme Court about on same-sex marriages. So first one is about marriage as a fundamental right. So earlier in 2018 in Shaheen Jahan vs Ashokan, KM and others, in that case marriage as a fundamental right, this was ruled by the Supreme Court. So here they were referring Article 16 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and the Puttaswamy case. Okay, so at that time Supreme Court held that right to marry a person of a one choice, it's integral to Article 21 of the Constitution. Okay, so here Supreme Court ruled that it's not a constitutional right or a fundamental, it's just a statutory right, and Parliament or the state legislature have the right to rule them, think about or decide about that. And second part is about Article 16 clause 2. It provides that there cannot be any discrimination on grounds only of religion, race, caste, sex, descent, place of birth, residence, or any of them. Okay, and also the right to marry is intrinsic to the liberty which the Constitution guarantees as a fundamental right. So liberty is a fundamental right. So right to marriage is intrinsic to the liberty. So it's a fundamental right. As the ability of each individual to take decisions on matters central to the pursuit of happiness. And matters of belief, faith, and including whether to believe or not are at the core of constitutional liberty. So here also in 2018, Navjit Singh, Johar and others words, that is the LGBTQ community entitled to all the constitutional rights. It ruled in that case. Okay, so Supreme Court held that members of the LGBTQ communities are entitled as other citizens. So if already Supreme Court ruled like that, then why now the same-sex marriage is not possible? Because already Supreme Court has mentioned that or ruled that LGBTQ communities are entitled as all other citizens to the full range of constitutional rights. Okay, so it's including the liberties protected by the constitutions and are entitled to the equal citizen and equal protection of law. Then what is the scenario here? Why Supreme Court is now against the same-sex marriage? Okay, so here are certain arguments which is favor of the same-sex marriages. So first one is about the equal rights and protection under law. All individuals, regardless of their sexual orientation, have the right to marry and form a family. Okay, and also it should have same legal rights and protections as the opposite sex couples. And non-recognition of same-sex marriage amount to discrimination. Okay, That is, it affects the dignity of LGBTQI couples. And next one is about the strengthening the families and communities. Actually, marriage, it provides social and economic benefits to couples. So in order to achieve that, same-sex people, it also have to be legalized. Okay, this is the second favor point for the same-sex marriage. And the cohabitation as a fundamental right. So CJI, that is Chief Justice of India, acknowledged that cohabitation is a fundamental right, okay, and it's government's obligation to legally recognize the social impact of such relationship. So CJI held that it is the government's obligation to legally recognize the social impact of such relationship, and the biological gender is not absolute. Supreme Court of India says that biological gender is not absolute and the gender is more complex than just one's genitals. So there is no absolute concept of a man or a woman. And the global acceptance. About 32 countries have approved or legalized the same-sex marriage. So it is about the same-sex marriage legalization. Okay. So these are the certain points. So there must be arguments against the same-sex marriage. So some of the points are like religious and cultural beliefs. Okay, because they believe that marriage should only be between the man and woman. Okay, so this is the main issue here, and also procreation. Already the people have built a mentality like the marriage is for the biological children or for the future generations or to produce the offsprings. Okay, if the same-sex marriage is happen, what will happen? Then naturally there will be no biological children. They have to adopt or they have to do some IVF treatment, or they need to take from some donors. So these are the issues here. And next one is about the legal issues, because there will be lots of changes in the legal aspects as well as the rules and regulations in order to accommodate the same-sex marriages. And issues with adoption of children, because in community, if a child or if a kid is adopted to a same-sex couple, so the thing happening is once he or she will go to school or in community, they have to face lots of issues from the society. So that is also a hindrance or argument against the same-sex marriage. So the way forward, the thing we have to focus on that, we have to raise the awareness, and also we have to take legal reforms, like we need to take amendments in the Special Marriage Act 1954 to allow same-sex couples to legally marry, and also dialogue and engagement. Engaging in dialogue with religious leaders and communicate, it can help to bridge the gap between traditional belief as well as the modern attitudes. And the legal challenges. So government have to establish some legal precedent, okay, in order to legalize the same-sex marriages as well as the collaborations. Legalization of same-sex marriage requires a concerted effort from all stakeholders, including the LGBTQIA community. So all these things are about the way forward. So there was a previous year question in 2009, that is, which article of the Constitution of India safeguards one's right to marry the person of one choice? So this is in Article 21, we already know that. And there was also a previous year mains question, that is, examine the scope of fundamental rights in the light of the latest judgment of Supreme Court in right to privacy. So here we can assume that examine the scope of fundamental rights in the light of the latest judgment of the Supreme Court on the right to marry, or about the same-sex marriage. So we have already discussed lots of things, and in between we pointed the term like Special Marriage Act 1954. So what do you mean by Special Marriage Act? Actually, in India, the marriages are registered under the respective personal laws. Hindu Marriage Act 1955 and Muslim Personal Law Application Act 1935, or the under Special Marriage Act 1954. Okay, so here It is the duty of the judiciary in order to ensure that the right of both the husband and wife are protected. Okay. So in Special Marriage Act 1954, it has the provisions for the civil marriage for people of India and all Indian nationals in foreign countries, irrespective of religion or faith followed by either party. Okay. So when a person is solemnized to marriage under this law, then the marriage is not governed by personal laws, but by the Special Marriage Act. It has certain features. It means that it allows people from two different religious backgrounds to come together in the bond of marriage. That is, first, it is a feature in the Special Marriage Act. And it lays down the procedure for both solemnization and registration of marriage, where either of the husband or wife or both are not Hindus, Buddhists, Jains, or Sikhs. Okay. So it is being a secular act. It play a key role in liberating individuals from traditional requirements of marriage. So we have to legalize, or we have to take some amendments in the Special Marriage Act in order to legalize the same-sex marriage. So this is the end of today's discussion. I hope you all got it. Thank you.